Hey guys, this is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with the daily analysis. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of February 2020, and the time is 11 past 10 here in the UK. You're looking at a USDCAD daily chart. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking for price action setups across all of these pairs here. Now, unfortunately, I had an issue with my microphone this morning, so I had to cancel the live session, and I'm doing this analysis just as a recording, so there won't be any live chat here. This is just going to be a recording in this case. The mic issue has been resolved, so tomorrow's webinar should go forward as normal. It's just today's webinar that's going to be a recording. Anyway, let's just dive right in because I have very little time left. I allotted 30 minutes for this webinar, and now because we had that issue, I've lost 10 minutes of that time, so I'm just going to rush through everything. First of all, USDCAD, this is a trade I shared last week. I've moved my stop loss to break even on this trade, so worst case scenario, it's going to hit my break even stop. There's still a chance that it's going to go down, but it's not looking that great after yesterday. It kind of stopped around here and turned around, so we'll just leave it and see what happens. Worst case scenario, I lose nothing. Best case scenario, it keeps moving down. I also identified a potential trade earlier this morning before my analysis here on CHFJPY, or actually, I think this one was shared to the forum. So yeah, I didn't identify this one. This one was shared to the forum. This one has some potential. It's not looking amazing, but it has some potential. So price right now is dropping down, but if it turns around and starts pushing up and breaks the 112.10, I'll look for a long from here. And the numbers will be pretty much like you see here. A stop loss down here at 111.64. Target up here at 113.00, something like that. Obviously, I can't say exactly because I've only just spotted this trade a little bit before the analysis, or just saw it shared to the forum and just checked it out. So I haven't made a full plan for it yet, but I'm definitely interested in this setup here. Next, we got GBPJPY. GBPJPY is quite interesting. We've been looking at this since last week. Down on the 8-hour, it's or even the 12-hour. It just depends what time frame you want to look at it. At 12-hour, 8-hour, 6-hour, it's all fine on those time frames. Let's just stick to the 12-hour because I always like to stick to higher time frames when I can. So we can see that price is in a pretty clearly defined range right now. It hit the top of the range and it started moving down. So unless you're in the short trade, which is already happening, so this would be the short trade here. Let me just draw it out for you. Unless you're in the short trade that's already happening, then you're going to have to wait for it to hit the bottom for a potential long trade. So the short trade's already going, something like this. What you want to wait for is for price to hit the bottom of the range. Once it hits the bottom of the range, you start looking for a long trade from there. So that would look roughly something like, whoops. And keep in mind, this is just an estimation of what it might look like. It could be totally different, but it could look something like this. So there would be some stalling here, then it would start moving up, just like we see here. But obviously in the opposite direction. So I'm keeping an eye on GBPJPY for a potential long. New Zealand JPY is in a very similar situation, except this one's already at the support area. So this one's already at the bottom of the range, and we're already seeing price stalling at the bottom of this range. So this one's also good on the 8-hour, 12-hour, even the 6-hour. It's fine on all those time frames. We're just looking for price to stall out on the support area. Ideally, I'd like for it to drop a little lower. Once it stalls out on the support area, I'll be looking for a long trade, much like we've seen in the past here. So just looking for it to stall out. So just using the last bounce as an example of what I want to see. See the last bounce here. So for the last bounce, could have done something like this. An entry here, so you want the entry above the high of the indecision candle. You want the stop loss below the low of the indecision candle. And your target up here. Now this is just a very general entry and stop loss. I'm just giving you an example. We haven't really drilled down into, the exact stop loss and target, entry, stop loss and target I would use. I'm just giving you an example of what I would want to see on a setup like this. So it's viable on 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour. So see something like that. That's what we're looking for down here on the support area. All right. So let's look for some new setups. These are setups, GBPJPY, New Zealand JPY, we've been watching since last week. CHFJPY is a new one. Let's look for some other new setups. Just going to quickly go through the charts, see if we see anything interesting. All right, I'm already seeing something interesting here on AUDUSD. I've adjusted the support resistance areas a little bit. Price is dropping back down to the support on AUDUSD. This is pretty interesting. I very much like the idea of taking a long from this support area. Yeah, it's not really been down here since 2009. It's not been beyond this low. So now the question is it going to continue to move down and break this low? If it does, there is definitely potential for a short trade when this low breaks. What I would want to see would be a, yeah, okay. I was just thinking about it to be sure, but what I want to see here would be a break and a close below this low. Now what we have here is, it's not a perfect double top, not by any means, but we do have a bit of a double top going on. And when you get a double top, especially in line with the overall trend, and price breaks and closes below here, so below the support area, you have potential for a short continuation trade, a continuation of that trend. So what I'm looking for is for price to, let's imagine today's candle just does this, just for example's sake. Let's imagine today's candle does this. So it's a bearish candle that breaks and closes below the low. Then I'll definitely be looking for a short. But there is another potential scenario. Whenever I see price approaching support, I like to think about it from both sides. If it breaks and closes below support, we have a continuation short from this double top. And it's not a perfect double top, but when you see a double top example in images, they're always perfect. But the reality is, when you're trading these things, they're not always going to be perfect. So we just have to accept that it is kind of a double top, but it's just not perfect. Anyway. And also my use of chart patterns is not exactly how other traders use them. My definitions are a little bit looser, but it works fine for me. So anyway, the other scenario would be if price stalls out here. If it stalls out here and it doesn't break and close below, if it stalls out here like it did last time, then we could look for a long trade. So we have two potentials here. We have the short trade if it breaks and closes below, and we have the potential long trade if it stalls out on top. So actually kind of excited for AUDUSD. No. Oh, EURCAD's somewhat interesting. Price stalling out on support. I imagine the risk to reward ratio wouldn't be too great on this. Although this area can definitely be moved up to be more in line with those bounces. Yeah. Still though, the risk to reward ratio is not fantastic. But there's potential for a long here on EURCAD. Let's see how today's candle closes. We definitely want to see if today's candle closes as a indecision on top of this support area. Euro GBP, someone shared this to the forum, so I drew this up, but I really don't like it. It's just the risk to reward ratio is atrocious on this one. So I'm not doing anything with Euro GBP. Support resistance areas need some adjusting from time to time, and they definitely need adjusting here on New Zealand CHF. New Zealand USD is trending down pretty heavily. I'd be very curious to see what happens on a break of this low here, the low it made the other day. There's potential for a short there. I won't go into too much detail on this one because it's using some kind of experimental techniques that I'm working on. But yeah, I won't go into too much detail. There's some things I need to keep for members only, and this is one of those things. USD CHF is nothing. USD NOK is making new highs again. All-time highs again. Gold and my support resistance is gone again on gold. Doesn't matter. No, it does matter because we do potentially have a short here on gold. Let's just do these two areas for now because they're the important ones in this scenario. So we do have a potential short here on gold. Keep a close eye on this resistance area. It stalled out and turned around here last time. It has some potential to stall out and turn here again. So potential short here on gold, guys. Take a quick look at some CFDs indices. I added platinum to the list, but my support resistance is gone. See, the thing is with TradingView, sometimes you'll have it open on two computers. You'll do your support resistance areas and you'll close it on the computer on which you've done it. But then TradingView remains open on your other computer and that one hasn't got the new areas you've placed on it. So that one eventually saves over the new areas, which is annoying. But here we go, we fixed it. Place some support resistance areas here quickly. There's nothing that I'm really that interested on right now on platinum. Palladium, I'm not really trading palladium. It's just something I'm looking at. So let's not worry too much about that. Right, the dollar index is still climbing up, but it is slowing down a little bit. But there's no setups here. The Nikkei is hitting a support area and pulling back, but there's no setups there. WTI, really interesting. We can see WTI here yesterday stalled down on resistance and it started turning around really quickly. I'm quite excited about WTI because I've spotted quite a few setups on this. I don't even know what to call it. On this, let's say. I've spotted quite a few setups on this that end up working out really well. So I'm kind of excited to trade this, although I did miss this setup because I'm not as mindful about checking these as I am about checking my normal Forex pairs. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mark this as green and let's just pretend that we took it. Just not pretend in the sense that, well, you know what I mean by pretend that we took it. We'll just draw this on as if we took this setup and then we'll see how it would have played out had we actually taken it. So had I taken it, it would have been something like this. An entry here at the 51.76 target. Target would in fact be a bit tighter. So target would be around about here at the 50.28. So let's just see how this scenario would have played out had we actually entered this trade. AUD 200 is quite interesting right now. Stalling out at a resistance area. It stalled out before. There's actually potential for a short here, guys. And we're quickly running out of time, so I'm going to wrap this analysis up. So potential for a short here on the AUD 200. Pretty good risk to reward ratio. Want it to move lower, actually. So something like this, if it starts to push down, that would confirm that bears are taking control. So entry at around 70.73. You might not have access to trading this. If you don't worry about it, but I'm just sharing it for those who do. So let's do a quick wrap up. We'll skip back over to Forex. USDCAD still short on this one. CHFJPY looking for a long here. GBPJPY just waiting for it to hit the bottom of the range. New Zealand JPY waiting for it to stall out at the bottom of the range. AUDUSD, this one's dropping to support. So there's two scenarios here, which I laid out in detail. No need to really go over them in detail again. EURCAD stalling out on support, so I want to see how this daily candle closes. New Zealand USD, yeah, let's not worry too much about that one. And gold stalling out on resistance. So, yeah, quite a full day, guys. Let's keep an eye on all of these, and thank you for watching. I'll see you for tomorrow's analysis, which will actually be a live analysis because the mic issue is sorted.